Hello, I'm back again with another update on my 2006 Impala SS restoration project. And as you see here, I've got the body is now mounted on my rotisserie. I got that up there, got it mounted on there about a couple weeks ago, and makes life a lot easier when you can, as you see, I've got it upended. I can rotate it completely upside down, 360 degrees anywhere I want it. And yeah, by the way, if you get one of these rotisseries, by the way, you'll have to cook up your own way to mount whatever your workpiece is. They don't give you anything that's just, model specific, made to fit what you got. They give you these pieces here, and so far, well, this is the second body I've had on this rotisserie. The first thing I had on it was my truck about 5 years ago. It was on my rotisserie. The body with no frame was on this rotisserie in the same condition. You see here, it got the same treatment. So anyways, both times I was able to use, this is the stub that you get. You get 4 of these stubs, and I was able to use that without any alterations, just found a way to bolt it up there. So I did that again, and so that's bolted up to the subframe horn there. And then on the other end, I had to make something, and this is the second time around, but I cut it off and just got me a plate of appropriate gauge steel, welded it on there. Same thing over on that side, and I got a little carried away with the weld compared to the factory weld there. Yeah, my weld isn't going to break, but yeah, I had to, drill a couple of holes to mate up with the end of that subframe rail there, and bolt that on there with a couple of nice strong bolts, and there you go. And yeah, anyway, so as you can see here, I've got the whole center of the belly pan all cleaned up, and everything's all everything's starting to shape up. And one thing I can tell you at this point, this body is 100% certified rust free. There is no rust, none. It's all gone. Every last little speck has been chased down and eradicated. It's gone. Anything even marginally rusty, if it couldn't be replaced outright, and a lot of it was, then it was reconditioned with sandblasting, acid etching. None of this baloney where you just sand over it and smooth it out. Call it surface rust. I've heard that term a lot. Surface rust. No rust, sorry. Zero tolerance. And there is none. There is none anywhere. This is this isn't a salesman on some used car lot talking here, I'm telling you. This is a 100% certified rust-free used car. So anyway, yeah. Back in September, I'm the original owner of this car, by the way, and back in September of 2006, I brought this thing home brand new, and yeah, the last thing I ever expected, the last thing you could have ever convinced me of that could even remotely happen, was that I would have it in this condition right now, doing what I'm doing. This is pretty, just the farthest thing from anything I ever dreamed I would be doing. So here I am doing it. And, people say, well, that's crazy. That's nuts. Why'd you do that? Well, the thing is, this car, I'm keeping it, okay? And it came to the point where I either have to replace it or I have to repair it. One of the two. You're just at that juncture. And people will say, well, if you're going to do all that work, why don't you just get something new? And here's the point, okay? if I could do that, I could go out and buy something new. To get something comparable to this, okay, a full-size four-door car, V8 powered, okay, just get something that's comparable. And, oh, what do you think the price range would be? Well, you know, I'm guessing it would probably be over 40,000. I don't know. It could be even higher than that. This car was just a hair under 30,000 when I bought it. So anyways, okay, so then let's say I brought home something brand new, right? Well, I wouldn't be able to just take and start driving it and enjoying it because I already know what's going to happen, because that's what happened to this car, okay? And the other thing is I took measures. I undercoated this car. I did things, okay? You know, I did things, but you can't do enough unless you've got it stripped down to this level. And that's the point I'm trying to make. If I brought something home brand new and I wanted it to last more than 10 or 12 years, then it would have to be completely stripped to this condition, okay? I wouldn't have to be doing all this cutting and welding and all of this other stuff to it, but I would have to have the body shell completely stripped to this condition. And the reason why is because I would have to go in here and find every last little hidden area, and I would have to apply coatings, extreme coatings. And you're not going to do it by just, you know, telling yourself you're going to get under there and undercoat it. And, you know, I'm going to undercoat it, I'm going to fluid film it, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Yeah, well, you can't get everywhere you need to get on a fully assembled vehicle. You just can't. And, you know, yeah, ask me how I know, okay? And that's the dilemma I have. If I bought something brand new and I wanted it to last, I'd have to be doing what I'm doing right now. You know, it would take several months of tear down and just, you know, going all through everything. And I'd be doing what I'm doing now. So that was my choice. Either do this to what I got, or get something new, pay a lot more, spend a lot more money, and have car payments and all the rest of that jazz. And then you can't drive it right away. It's got to go on a rotisserie, and it's got to look like this. And you got probably you know, a couple of months worth of work. And it's got to come all apart, and then you got to put it all back together. So, yeah, so why not just take this one all apart and put it back together and just fix everything that's wrong with it? That's the first issue. The second issue is cars that are brand new are complicated. They're not only a lot more expensive, they're complicated. They're making this stuff now where, you know, you can't work on it yourself. And they make these cars now, I mean, this is nothing new, but they make them where, you know, they get too expensive to own once they're out of warranty. Forget it. Once they're out of warranty and things start going wrong with them, they're just too expensive to own. This car, I can still work on it. You know, I've still got some kind of a fighting chance, okay, to figure out what's wrong with it. So anyway, that's why I made a keeper out of this car. And you know, speaking from philosophy standpoint again, the other thing is, you know, I'm just talking about restored cars in general, and the things that I've done to this car. This car is being restored, okay? And that's another thing. People say, well, what are you going to do? Take it to the Concorde, the Elegance? It's just, you know, it's just a daily driver. Yeah, but I want this thing restored. I want this thing back to like new condition. Now, there's a lot of other guys doing, you know, home restorations on their cars, and they have classic cars. And, oh, I got one too. I got a 68 Camaro. It's going to be the next thing on my to-do list. It's going to end up on this rotisserie. Yeah, and don't you worry. It's going to be worthwhile. You know, if I live long enough to get around to it. But yeah, it's on my to-do list. And anyways, talking about guys doing home restorations with their cars. You know, you'll find two kinds of, two schools of thought, two camps, I guess, if you want to call it. The first one is a guy who's, he's intending to flip it, okay? And so all he's going to do is he's going to be one of these guys that just smooths everything over, and, you know, if it's rusted through, well, then it'll have to be cut and patched, okay? But anything that's rusty that can just be sanded smooth painted right over. That's what he's going to do. He's just going to call anything rusty as long as it's still solid surface rust. And you know, this is what you're going to get when you know, you go out and you see some nice looking classic car, because it's going to have a beautiful paint job and the interior is going to be all fixed up and everything like that. And then and they're going to tell you it's been rotisserie restored, you know, 100%, you know, meticulously, impeccably restored. And well, you know, do you think they did work like this to it just to turn around and flip it over? No, they did not. Okay, and what I'm talking about is, well, for example, okay, this trunk floor, it has been completely out, sandblasted, patched as needed, and completely restored to like new condition. This cross member was saved, deconstructed, completely sandblasted, acid etched, and reconstructed. And the reason why this cross member was not replaced is because I couldn't get it. However, these subframe rails, I could get these. They're replaced. The you know, the old ones, it wasn't like they weren't that bad. Well, this side in this area was kind of bad in the dog leg area, but you know, it could have been smoothed over and fixed up. And you know, well, the point I'm making is anything that had rust on it, it's got to go. This has been replaced. This is new. This is a new GM stamping. This is new. This cross member, this is new. This subframe rails, both sides, these are brand new. Okay, and you know, in this zone here, this I had to make a patch here. This you know, from here to here all the way across, and then this tunnel zone and everything, I had to make that. There's nothing I could buy for that. Okay, and then this here had to be this extension on the front subframe rail, you know, from here to here. I had to recondition that. It was savable, but then both pairs of subframe rails, brand new subframe rail front, brand new subframe rail, you know, and they go all the way to the front. And you know, this piece, sure, it was solid, but I took it apart and deconstructed it because it's got rust on the inside. And no, I'm not going to smooth it over and paint over it just because it's still solid. And it was still structurally sound, but it was rusty. So it all had to come apart. It all had to be deconstructed. You know, oh, by the way, you know, all these tubs. You got an outer tub, you got an inner tub, and that inner tub is 3 pieces. And those are new from GM, but you know what? The way they coated them wasn't good enough for me. So the brand new tub, I could have saved the old tubs. I still had them. They were rusty. They probably could have been saved, patched up. Not good enough. Bought a new tub then. GM's coating, not good enough. So I deconstructed all 3 pieces. There's, you know, the tub, and then this reinforcement, and then this reinforcement that makes the shock tower area. And all inside of that sandwich. And I already made videos about that. But yeah, all those welds. All those factory welds on that brand new piece, drilled them all out, deconstructed the whole thing, coated it to my satisfaction, reconstructed it, then installed it. So like I said, you know, this whole bottom of this unitized chassis here, all of the main components, darn near everything has been replaced, except, you know, that hasn't been replaced, but everything else. Brand new GM stampings. They've been coated inside and out like 7 ways to Sunday. You know, I already made videos about that, and there's reinforcements that had to go inside of these front sub rails, and they've been completely sandblasted, acid etched, re-welded back in there, and those have been all put back together inside. You know, this piece, I made video about this. This thing is like about 7 or 8 separate built up pieces. They were all deconstructed, coated, you know, completely all rust removed, recoated, reconstructed. Welded the thing back on there, and you know, the front tubs are original, and they were completely deconstructed and repaired. And you know, I made a repair here across this one, and this side didn't need it. And you know, the entire front section, these corner pieces, all of the core support and these corner pieces and everything, those are all original, but they were all deconstructed. I didn't just smooth them over. They were completely deconstructed, sandblasted, acid etched, whatever they needed, recoated, welded back together, and this stuff's all in like new condition. Well, here's the point I'm making. Somebody who's going to restore a car just to flip it over, they're not going to do all that. I'm telling you right now, they're just not. Just, never mind the cost of the stampings if you can get them. It's the labor too. Okay, why would you drill out all these welds and weld all this stuff back on if you don't have to? If it's still solid and passable and you can just smooth it over and put lots of heavy undercoating on it and stuff, and it's still, just make it look nice, because you're going to flip it. You're trying to keep your labor to a minimum. So, like I say, you buy a restored car. Well, that's the first possibility. The second possibility is it's going to be a guy who he restored it for himself, but he's one of these guys that life's too short and he doesn't want to work that hard, and so he has the same kind of approach. Just smooth it down, wherever it's solid, smooth it out, paint right over it. Don't tear anything apart unless it really needs it. He's not going to get that fussy, and he's just making it for a summertime car that he just wants to enjoy for a few summers, and then he's going to get tired of it, and then he'll decide, yeah, I'll sell it, and so it'll be the same thing. 100% perfectly restored and everything, and you're going to get something that's still, it's not going to have work like this done. So, why would I do all this? Okay, and the answer is this car is a keeper. All right, this car is not a collectible. It's not it's not a classic or anything like that. It's just, like I said, I own it. I'm the original owner, and I had a choice, repair or replace it, so I've decided repair, and it's a keeper. I am not doing all this work because I intend to get resale value and, flip it over, either flip it right away or enjoy it for a few years and then decide I'm tired of it and I think I'm going to put it in the paper and sell it, This car is not going to be for sale until after I'm dead. And then whoever has it, I don't know. I guess maybe they can use this video to document what's been done and get top dollar. But hey, let's face it. Somebody wants to buy this car, and all they're going to do is they're going to come over and kick the tires, and they're going to say, book value, and they're not going to want to give you anything for it, and basically there's no appreciation. Okay, there's very little appreciation for what I've done here. Okay, the body of this car has been restored to what I would consider better than new condition, and the reason why it's better than new is because these new subframe rails have coatings on the inside of them that you're not going to get from the GM factory, because I basically declared war on rust, and this car's got to be driven in the rust belt. It's going to see some winter driving. And, and another thing, like somebody will say, well, why don't you just get one from down south, And that's everybody's, that's everybody's fantasy. They think they're going to find whatever car it is they dream of. They're going to find one from down south, okay, that was only driven to church on Sundays or something, and low mileage and not used real hard and totally clean, rust free down south. Yeah, well, good luck with that. I got my own solution. Don't worry about me. I can take care of myself. Okay, so that's what I did, and that's kind of an explanation of why I'm doing all this. And somebody would say, why would you want to do that to that car? I could see a mid-90s Impala SS, but not that year. Well, that's you, man. This car, I like it. It's just been it's been good, reliable transportation for me, and that's what it's for. So I'm going to have it all back together, and, it'll probably take a couple of years. It's not going to be done this year. Maybe I'll get it painted. Maybe I'll have it painted by this spring. I'll have this body painted, but there's still a lot of work to do, and just sorting out all the mechanical, the electrical, the HVAC. It's just like, man, there's easily more than a year's worth of work here left to do. So anyways, by the time I'm done, the car's going to be like 20 years old, but I will own the only one of these around here that is certifiably clean, rust-free. Take it from me. I got the proof right here, okay? That's why I've been documenting it. So, and yeah, it ain't for sale. It's for me. I'm keeping it. It's mine. Okay, anyways, getting to what kind of stuff I got going here. Well, the next thing I had to do is I had to make these pieces here. And these are reinforcement like wings, and they go right here. And what you're looking at is one that's sitting on there that I had to make to copy this. And this thing here, I could have almost. They're a little too far gone. This one here is in one piece. They're like right on the margin of, man, is that savable? Could you sandblast that and acid soak it? And it's like, well, there's an awful lot gone. But then the decision maker was the other side. That's the opposite side. And yeah, if you look at that one there, this one here is, it rotted through. And so that's that. And I couldn't get these. I would have loved to get new stampings for those. Couldn't get them. So I got to make it. And so this is what I got. I made one side, and so here it is. I'll take it off of there. And that's what it looks like. And yeah, as you can see, it's coated inside and out. And I'll tell you another thing. I'm not using weld-through primer here. I'm using some serious coatings. I got a different strategy. Where I have to weld, I just make a bare spot. I don't need to weld through the paint. Because I make a bare spot. I line up, I figure out where I'm going to go, where I'm going to make a weld, and then everywhere I make a weld, then you got to have clean metal. And it's the same thing at the end of the day, okay? Weld through primer. You're going to have when you're arc welding, you're going to have a section of burn paint. There's no way around that. And weld through is for resistance weld, as far as I'm concerned. That's where you have to have electrical conductivity through the whole sandwich when it's not done with an arc. It's done with resistance, and so you just, it just cooks right through it and it burns the paint and everything. And anyways, my strategy is wherever I make a weld and there's burned paint, you can see where I squirted all this green stuff in there. And I've only done just right on this section of this subframe railing here, and I'm only concentrating on this because this area is going to be inaccessible once I have that piece welded on there. So that's why you see all this green here. And this has been underneath here, inside of here, has all been shot very heavily with the green stuff, the stuff I call frame shot. And it's made for that. It's made to internally coat frame rails. It's pretty good stuff. It's not an undercoating. It's more like a paint. So that's my strategy to reseal the burned paint in all these areas where you have welds that are sandwiched up. And on the rotisserie, I can rotate this thing and I can use gravity. So I mask off one side, the masking tape will catch it, and then I run it in from this side and let it just run in there. And then I take the rotisserie, roll it over, and do the same thing in the opposite direction and let gravity take it everywhere I need to go. And eventually I'm going to have to go everywhere. Just, you name it, everywhere. All the way around. Everywhere where there's a pinch weld, everywhere where there's an overlap and welds, and it's going to get in there. And then you sand the whole thing down. After it's all that's all done, you sand the whole thing down, and then you give it another coat of slather. Another slather coat is what I call it. And so that's my strategy. And yeah, anyway, getting back to this thing is, when I basically took that thing and flattened it out. And that, like this one there is flat. And that one there has been bent back and forth a couple times. But you flatten the whole damn thing out and you trace it out. And anyways, then I take what I traced and cut and lay it in here and clamp it up and try to bend and hammer it into place. Well, it didn't work. And the reason why is because, what they can do with stamping machines, you know, I can't replicate by hand. And then so what ended up happening here was I had to make it in 2 pieces. And let me put this back on there, set up there. So that's where it's going to go. And it, you know, so, you know, there's the side that ain't been done yet, and there's the side that has been done. And I made, you know, I couldn't make this bend here and get that thing to fold over and look neat. So I cut it right here, and then I just concentrated on this and make this fit nice and tight and neat and everything. And then once that's in place, then I took the other piece and got it bent. And you know, you got a pinch weld right here, and over here there's, you know, it just clamps to that there, and you know, so all that has to be hammered in there and bent. And then once I got the 2 pieces, I mated them together, weld them together, and then I just put a ton of extra weld here on purpose, and that's just to stiffen the whole thing up. Because you know, if I had a bead roller, one of those things, I could have done that sort of thing on this, but I ain't got one, and you know, and I didn't feel like doing all that stuff by hand. And you know, let's face it. Well, whatever I put here, okay, it's going to be stronger and better and more rigid than what I was already driving it with, which is that and that. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be fine. I get that all welded into place, and you know, I don't know. Then I guess once I get that done and that done, and then I still got a little work over here, and you can't see it right now, but I talked about that before. There's a little bit of work just the other side. The other side, that work's been done, and then I've got the rockers to do, and I got a piece of angle, and I guess I'll talk about that later some other time. But yeah, and then you know, like I say, this stuff is a whole lot easier to do when you can just turn this thing upside down, and you can get in wherever you need to be. And boy, I wish I could have had this thing upside down. When I installed all these rails, you know, in the overhead position, I was crawling underneath this thing, and it was just sitting on stands, and because it could not be supported on this rotisserie, not with, you know, the whole belly pan, you know, unsupported, and you know, no subframe rails, no nothing in there. You don't have anything supporting it but the roof, and the whole bottom of the unitized chassis is missing, so there's no way you can do that. I had to support it on its haunches back here. I had it supported like back here, and then I had to change when I got this. And I talked about how I made these rocker reinforcements, but when I got those in place, that gave me the strength I needed to support it here, so I could then replace the tubs, and all that work had to be done, you know, crawling around underneath it while it was supported on stands. And so now I get in here and I can do all kinds of stuff, and you know, spin this thing around where it needs to be. And like you know, this here too, there's another important thing on the other side that I got done, and get around the roof here. You can look right in through here, and that's this piece. Okay, that's that section. It's a heavy gauge piece that goes across there. That's about 16 gauge, and it goes across there, and it ties to the floor, and it ties to both of those inner rockers there on each end, and it ties to the tunnel and everything, and it just makes like a big boxed cross member. It's really what it does, and that's a structural piece, and that thing had to be in there too. Basically, I made the resolution that this thing was not going on the rotisserie until it was 100%, you know, rigid and completely intact, and then all that was left is details. But all the main structural work is finished. So you know, it's coming along, and you know, like I say, when this thing is done, there is no rust anywhere. You know, I can prove it. That's why I took all these videos. So anyway, I guess that's going to be it for now. There's some other upgrades I made. This is stainless hardware here. This holds. That's the mounting for the exhaust, the tailpipes. One there, and I've also this is a strategy I adopted a while ago. Anything where you can use stainless hardware as long as it's not structural. Okay, you can't use like these bolts here. These hold the frame, the support cradle for the rear suspension support, and these bolts here are going to have to be, you know, grade 10 or better, and they're going to have to be, you know, carbon steel. You can't use stainless bolts on stuff that has to be structurally strong, but anything that's holding, you know, like an exhaust system or stuff like that, things that are non-critical, anything, anywhere, figure out a way to make stainless hardware out of it. Like, you know, like I talked about these before, all these stainless studs, and these are stainless nuts I welded in there. These used to be clip nuts. These are, you know, to mount the radiator, and these are all stainless. And I got that going on everywhere. There's stainless studs everywhere. These are all stainless, and I put them in, and they're masked to keep the paint off of the threads. And there's one there, and there. They're all over the place. Everywhere I found a spot where I could upgrade to stainless fasteners to fight the rust battle. Well, okay. So anyway, yeah, that's about what I got going now, and I don't know, next month I'll show you how much I got done then. So till next time, thanks for watching, and so long.